What is good, my people, my peeps? How are you guys doing today? So, let me check. I have to check audio because we had quite a disturbance here when I've gone live. We had a major noise campaign. So, I have to check the audio really quick. Sorry about that. So let me check. Noise campaign. So, okay. So, we're good to go. All right. What is good, my people, my peeps? But before I even get into the recap of today, for the subject at hand, and it is a little, I think I said it right, subjects, because I'm going to talk about quite a bit. But let me go over my song, because I'm still working on the theme song. This is ethereal, and I'm stepping to the mic. Daughters of Zion, lift every voice. Daughters of Zion, lift every voice. Acts 2:17. And in those days, God said, I will pour out my spirit. My sons and daughters will prophesy. We got that far. We got that far when I was trying to cook dinner for my TIs, right? Um, so that's a song. If you guys are like, what are you talking about? That's a song that I'm working on, so that I can have the women represented here, right here on this platform, right here, in this internet space that we are able to broadcast on. Yeah, so I'm here to recap today's events. We all know that the verdict came down regarding Nature Boy. And so I've been on a few different social media platforms listening to what other people had to say about the verdict, which was extreme in and of itself. And like I mentioned before, I never followed Nature Boy, but I knew of him. I heard of him along with many other teachers. Okay, and but that was someone I just chose not to follow. On my quest for more knowledge, once I became awake, once the Most High awakened me, right, awoke me to what was going on here in this realm, my quest began to find out and look for truth. So when I say daughters of Zion, lift every voice, it is time. It is time for you to lift your voice. It is time for you to not be misled. I was listening to these platforms and what people had to say, and it was some men, right? Let me get comfortable. Let me get comfortable. I almost gave up until the last um, podcast that I listened to. I did hear some men on that podcast with an inkling of righteous judgment. I did hear some men on those podcasts with an inkling of, non-bias for men. Because men seem to have bias and not even want to look at the situation at hand. And that's what I wanted to hear, what men were talking about regarding Nature Boy's sentencing to life in prison, okay, for his cult behaviors and releasing sexual pornographic video of his wife and other members, right? So let me just say some of the things that I did here, and then I'm going to go on. When I said, this is a recap, Daughters of Zion, run. Okay, run. And I say run because, like I, and like many people that are waking up, they're looking for people with information, righteous people, but they can fall prey and become a victim like these people in this camp. And I say run because you, as far as I am seeing Daughters of Zion, you will always be held accountable. You will always be put, the blame will always be put on you. Okay? And it is sad that a lot of these platforms that claim to be teaching the truth um, have no discernment, no righteous judgment for the women. In fact, they had the nerve, several platforms that I watched today had the nerve to say the women should have known, the women should, uh, you know, have had more discernment. But these are several people who have said women should shut up. Women should learn from their teachers, right? Um, but then speak with a a forked tongue. Okay, they speak with a forked tongue and they say, "Well, they should have known." Well, if you have men as charismatic as this nature boy was, and dabbling in witchcraft, manipulation at its highest form, and even from the judge's observation, a high functioning narcissist. Uh, what went down in his particular camp, in his particular sector of whatever he was teaching, because from what I'm hearing is he went from several different levels of teachings and changed up his curriculum. Okay. And so, with that being said, who knows what he was telling these young women? Maybe he was telling the young women in his camp to shut up and learn from the men, learn from the teacher, because they are the wise ones. And perhaps that led them into the rabbit hole of deception and deceit and manipulation and witchcraft at its highest point. So, and these men that I'm hearing this from, because it's always a competition with men. Now it's the what is it, the awake community? What do they call them? The woke community? Not even the woke community. The conscious community. They're falling, and that's over there. No, it's over here too. It's over here in Israel. And they're part of Israel. They just had a different message, but it's over here as well. Okay, and with that being said, when you have a message of telling women to shut up and be quiet and learn from the teachers, then you're taking the ability to ask questions, whether it be in a public forum, such as social media, um, or in a church, right? Uh, this this knocks down, this busts open the door of control at its highest form. So, with that being said, the men I've listened to today are not taking, and I'm looking down at notes because I wanted to make sure I touch on everything that I want to get out. Why I'm telling the Daughters of Zion to run. Run, Daughters of Zion. So I have my notes. I want to hit the points that I want to hit from watching these different platforms today, and listen to the men still have no accountability for the actions of a highly manipulative narcissist. Okay? And so, no accountability. I heard them speak with a forked tongue today as far as the videos that were released, um, with his wife in the videos and some other of his members being in some sexual videos. And I heard one person state that, well, they knew the videos were taken. They knew the videos were taken. So what's the problem? Are they shouldn't be acting like they didn't know that these videos were taken. And that's quite weak in and of itself, because we know as grown people, this is a grown person's conversation. Okay, so little ones, parents with little ones, see their way out. Okay, I've heard these men on these platforms today talking about, well, they knew the videos were taken. His wife knew the videos were taken, and so how's she gonna be mad because they were uploaded to social media? Because he uploaded them to social media when they were making the sex videos. She knew that they were videos were being made, and they think that that is a good answer. If I had a buzzer right now, do I have my mini soundboard? I don't have it. You better be glad, because if I had my mini buzzer, that would get a boo. Because she knew, or the cult members knew, that these sex videos were being recorded. It was okay for them to be leaked onto the internet, and he should not be held accountable for that, is what I'm taking from the reasoning that some of these men today on the platform were. In one hand, I say they talk with a split tongue, a devil's tongue, okay? One side of their tongue will say, I'm not blaming, I'm not victim blaming, I'm not in any way blaming, but, well, with that but leads us to the other side of their forked tongue that they speak with. But she knew the videos were taken. Sirs, just because you and your spouse or your multiple spouses, because a lot of these men, not only in the conscious community, but here in Israel, here in the truth community, believe, a lot of these men believe in multiple spouses. Okay? So if you and your multiple spouses have taken video recordings of your sexual escapades, believing that you all were going to watch them, maybe that was their thing, okay? Their sexual perversion, that still was their business amongst their group, right? We have to look at it. We're judging a matter. We have to listen to the facts of that matter. So if the girl, the wife, and multiple members of that group participated and did not authorize the release of those videos, then he's wrong. Check mark. Check the box that he is wrong. That is like if you are in a monogamous relationship with one-on-one, just you and your spouse, and you take sexual photos, and your spouse says, well, send me a sex pic, and you send that pic over your phone to your spouse that you're at in that particular time, you're in a great relationship, right? Everything is okie dokie. And you send those sex pics to your spouse thinking it's between you and him. And you have all the faith that he would not hurt you, or she would not hurt you by releasing your intimate parts to the social media world, or even sending it to your boys, your homegirls to watch, because you have trust. Well, see, trust is broken when you get mad because the relationship is over, or, like I said earlier, lust turns into lasciviousness, and now we're dealing with a whole nother beast of a demon, right? And your lust has turned into lasciviousness, and so now you think and that you're in your right mind to upload intimate photos and videos onto the World Wide Web for everyone to partake in because you feel that you enjoy that type of interaction and viewing of sexual encounters, but you didn't get any permission from the people involved. And matter of fact, if this man had the same mindset as some of the men in Israel today, some of the men who say they preach the truth and their wives are to shut up and be quiet and not have a voice, well, then that's another whammy. But I don't want to assume, because I don't want to be like the men that I listen to today on some of these podcasts. But if he's such this charismatic leader and he has men sleeping with men, women sleeping with women, women beating up each other, well, that is witchcraft at its finest. That is manipulation to the highest, to the 10th power. Okay? So nobody was going to tell him what to do, when to do it with those videos, or how to save them or delete them. Take yourself out of the judgment. Men, you men in the truth, you need to really ask God for more discernment. You're leading and thinking only from your male perspective, and you're leading and you're only thinking. And I talked about this earlier because you want to establish some kind of power play over women and illusion of building a nation, but without righteous judgment and righteous judgment for women. Because see, you can never and will never, ever build a nation without women. Okay? So when you judge righteously. So these videos were released. I heard men saying, I'm not victimizing, I'm not blaming, I'm not for him. But didn't they know? When I hear men talk like that, I hear them say also on different social media platforms, pick better, women. Pick your men better. It's as if they think that women actually go out and look for the most abusive man that they can find. When they say pick better, choose better, it's as if they think that women go out to really find someone to drag their whole life downhill in the mud and put them in the mud with their whole life aspirations and dreams. Nobody, man or woman, is looking for the worst of the worst. And people that do find themselves in cycles of picking the wrong type of person they have not dealt with traumas, issues. They're just simply looking for somebody, anybody, to love them, but they're not choosing wisely. And it's not that they're looking for the devil as a boyfriend. It's not if they're looking for the devil as a girlfriend. See, the devil disguises itself in a shining knight, someone that's going to be there to comfort you. And once they get you where they want you, once they have manipulated you, love bombed you, set you up just right for the kill, then the switch flips So this choose better thing needs to go away. The women should have known. They keep getting these men first and foremost. Uh, they really didn't talk about the men on these platforms. They only brought out the fact that these women were choosing or making decisions, poor decisions, to be in this relationship, in this cult like atmosphere, but not mentioning that there were men also in his cult who got just as manipulated and sexually abused as the women. But when I look at these platforms with these men who claim to have righteous judgment and don't point out the fact of how these men were manipulated, and they might touch on it real quick, but then they always come back to why the women didn't choose better. There's a problem here, and it's not just in the so-called awake community, conscious community. It's also here in this Israelite community. Okay, let me move on. So we know this man was a high-functioning narcissist on this to the 10th degree, a warlock. We always hear platforms where these men are hollering about witchcraft, witchcraft, these witches, warlocks, these warlocks. Let's get it together. They're out here too, and they have major platforms. Okay, warlocks. Let's start implementing that word a little more. Sex magic. Oh, yes. He could manipulate his so-called congregation of cult members without doing these kinky things. This is sex magic at its highest form. Right? I didn't hear that mentioned at all. But I hear sex magic mentioned when it comes to women putting blood in men's spaghetti, women witches doing this. This cult leader used sex magic to manipulate the minds of not only the women and men in this cult. Righteous judgment, discernment. You must stay on track when you are judging a matter. Sex magic was used as well. It doesn't matter if your girlfriend, when I say girlfriend, his wife, say her friend, a close friend, not someone she's sleeping with. That's just the old school term that, we can't use a lot of old school slang because it's turned into something totally different. But say her best friend, once she's deep into this cult, is trying to get her out, because sometimes people on the outside can see exactly what's going on, and they can see this person has revealed themselves. That's why narcissists, just like the devil, they like to isolate you. And the reason being they want to isolate you is because they don't want anybody who may have a little common sense to peep them out and try to awaken you, try to shake you out from under his spell or her spell. So they choose to try to isolate you, okay? And the wife, and I'm not going to say their names because, like I said, I don't want to say anyone's name wrong regarding this matter, because I was not a follower. I did not watch him. I'm speaking on Nature Boy, who just got life with 10 years. Life plus 10 years. But one of the main characters in his trial was his wife, one of his wives, okay? Nature Boy, he also married a transsexual man who was presenting himself as a woman. a lot of things went on, but say if her best friend tried to tell her this is not working, when somebody is, even if it's not sex magic, but sex in and of itself is a powerful, powerful instrument, even if you're not dibbling and dabbling in sex magic, okay? Um, there was songs when I was coming through. Bobby Brown even sung "Whoop a Pill." Okay, uh, there's just many of things that has indicated that sex is potent, and you're not even trying. Okay, um, you may have heard of old school terms as "boy, that girl got your nose wide open." Oh my goodness, she got you wide, your nose wide open for that girl. Old time folks used to use that terminology. Your nose wide open, boy. Or you whipped. You whipped over her. She got you whipped because sex is that potent, that strong, that it can manipulate and mold a person in their mind and change their viewpoints without even somebody even practicing in voodoo, hoodoo, and witchcraft. Okay? So it is a strong hold and a bond that is created when two have intercourse. So even if her friend, her closest buddy, tried to sway her mind and get her away from that cult or from him, it would not have worked. She could have tried. I believe her own father tried to get her away. It did not work. Not until that person breaks the spell. Not until that person comes to the reality that they're being hurt, and this then the sex magic, it starts to subside. It's almost as if it is like a drug addict. No matter who tries to convince that drug addict that the drug is killing them, it is not until the drug addict themselves want to change themselves, because then they realize for themselves that the drugs are killing them. It is the same as dealing with sex, simply by itself, not with the magic sprinkled on top, right? Okay, so her dad tried to get her away. It wasn't happening until she woke up, basically. Okay, so let me move on. So I kept hearing these men trying to act as if they really were um, trying to, give some commentary on today's events regarding Nature Boy and his life sentence plus 10 years that he received today or whenever the verdict came down. Um, I seen men in the conscious community, and I see men in the truth community. If you don't know what I mean by truth community, these are Israelite men who proclaim to wake up their nation to the truth that the blacks are the true Israelites. Okay, but speak with forked tongues, speak with devil tongues. You hear about this demon that a lot of these women rappers, I can't remember this demon's name. It's an Indian demon, but like Carly B, she does a thing with her tongue, it looks demonic, but they stick their tongue all the way out. Um, Meg the Stallion. They do this thing with their tongue, um, and people are saying because it's a demon, not like hey, not like that. You know how some of us. So don't panic, ladies. If you go, if you laugh like that, no, nothing like that. They stick their tongue out. They project their tongue, or they project it up. It looks demonic. Not if you laugh with your mouth wide open and you stick your tongue out. That's just common. Okay? No, I'm talking about this demonic tongue whipping back and forth. Well, these men in these communities, they speak with a forked tongue, a devil's tongue. They might not whip their tongue out like you may see Meg the Stallion and Carly B and these other people do. Their tongue is forked because the lies are just simply coming out of their mouths, and they come from this part of the tongue and that part of the tongue, and it's only deception that you are hearing. Okay, that's what I mean by the forked tongue. So these men on these platforms, the conscious community is pretty much a wrap. But it's not going to stop there, my people, my peeps. The fall is coming to all of these platforms, okay? With the lies that are being spread. And I say they speak with a forked tongue because just simply by today, hearing them try to boast and say, well, the women should know and the women should speak up. How dare you? Because I've heard so many men in the truth community say women should shut up. Women don't speak. Women don't have the right to speak to a man. Speak to a man even in a social media arena and get a lashing. And these are men in the truth. These are men who have who proclaim to have woken up to find out that the majority of African Americans are Israel, to find out that the majority of people scattered abroad are from different tribes, actual tribes in the Bible, but that Judah, the majority of African Americans here, are considered the tribe of Judah, and that we got next. And they speak with a forked tongue. And they want the women in their community to shut up. And sorry, I speak with my hands a lot, y'all. That's just me. Okay. I communicate many ways. I speak with my hands. I'm not doing any witchcraft either. You know, they love to label people as witches, but they won't take accountability to the men who are out here being warlocks. Okay. And I say they speak with a forked tongue because they want the women, and I've heard them proclaim and make statements for women to shut up, and how women have disrespected other men because they simply made a statement, not cussing or cursing or being derogatory towards men, but simply by making a statement, they are outcasted. Mm-hmm. And you see, this is the forked tongue, my friends, because now that this man who was had a podcast, right? He has life. He's getting life in prison. And so now I heard, well, the women should say something. What? When you're telling women in your own community to shut up. And they're following because they're awakened, they're thirsty, they're hungry, they want the truth. And they're on platforms thinking that these men are giving them the truth. Run, daughters of Zion. Devil tongues they speak with. Devil tongues they speak with. Knowing that the majority of African Americans here are the tribe of Judah. Here is another a forked tongue message that I've heard. These men are here to uplift, wake up, and uplift the tribes of Judah and other tribes that are here. Benjamin, there's many tribes here. Okay, they're here to uplift and wake these tribes up. But they downplay and down talk the women in the tribe of Judah. And the women in the tribe of Judah are mostly black women, aka otherwise known as, formerly known as black women, formerly known as women, African American women. But they say they speak the truth. These are some men on this platform that also say, forget the black women here in America and go get you a white woman. Okay? The oppressive class that is coming under judgment. Because Judah has come out of the curses. And so there's another class going into the curses. These men who proclaim to be righteous men are speaking with a devil's tongue and telling their congregation of Israelite men to go and get white women, known as Edomite women, as spouses. These Edomite women are coming under the curses of Yah. And they teach this. Daughters of Zion, wake up and run. If this is a teacher that is teaching you this, you may find yourself in a cult, just like the cult of Nature Boy. They start off with a righteous message, a message leading you to knowledge, a message leading you to the insight of what the Most High wants for you. But then they want to keep you down in the pits of hell because they internally prefer the Edomite woman. They internally, inwardly prefer the cursed people of this land. Yes, the curses have reversed. But they will preach a message to go and get these cursed women, the women that have oppressed not only the Israelite men, known as the black men, but they have also oppressed the Israelite women, known as the black women. Now we have men of power, like this Nature Boy, who has come into power and a large following, and has started to lead his following and his multiple wives and multiple husbands astray. Before he had multiple husbands, this is how lasciviousness works. He had multiple wives. Lasciviousness is never satisfied. This lust demon goes into lasciviousness and it is never satisfied, okay? So then he brings in these males and starts having sexual deviancy interactions with. This is happening in Israel, okay? This is happening in Israel with leaders. If they are persuading their followers, such as the men followers of their camps, of their platforms, of their nation, to go and get Edomite women as their spouses, they are leading you astray, because that is not how the new kingdom will be set up. No matter what they say about the potency of their seed, that is not how the new kingdom will be set up. Israel, Judah, I'm speaking to the women of Judah. Daughters of Zion, run if you are on these platforms hearing this message. This message is not from Yah to go and have the Israelite men marry Edomite women. It is not a message of Yah. This is a message that is leading you down a rabbit hole, just like this nature boy led his people with a righteous message at first, and it turned into a corrupt, lascivious message. These men will not hold other men accountable, but yet and still they have the Bible as their talking points as well, but they cherry pick from that very Bible. They will not hold men accountable right here in Americas on these platforms, proclaiming that they have the truth. I tell you this, when Yahushua walked and a group of men brought a fornicating woman to be judged, and she was guilty. But these men who probably have been fornicating their damn selves, a mob of men grabbing and pulling with rocks in tow, because they used to stone people back in those days from fornication and breaking the law, statutes, and commandments. Brought this fornicating woman, a mad group of men with the town's people behind them, to shame her, to show her guilt. Let me ask you a question in this judgment. In that story, when these men brought the woman to Yahushua for her fornication, and Yahushua simply listened to the men, their gripes, the crowd in the uproar. The woman is held, ready for them to throw her down and stone her. Why? Why? Oh, before I even go to the why, first of all, Yahushua bent down and began to write in the sand. And he began to say, "He without sin cast the first stone." That's right. He that is without sin cast the first stone. You know, the crowd is, whoa, they're in an uproar. Stone her, stone her. She is a harlot. She has fornicated. Stone her. But the Most High bent down, started writing in the sand, and simply said, "He that is without sin cast the first stone." The crowd and the roars simmered down. They let the woman go, right? Because they knew they had sin hovering all over. I want to ask you something, if you notice something else about that story. Most people don't point out. When Yahushua said, "He who is without sin cast the first stone." But that was marvelous in and of itself. But do you realize that they only had one person? You know, the men of the town talking about this woman as a fornicator, a harlot. We're going to stone her. Yahushua, give us your judgment. We're going to stone this woman. They had the woman by the hand, right? Dragging her through the town to go see Yahushua. Where was the man? Have you ever thought about that? Where was the man? You can't fornicate by yourself. Well, you can. It's called masturbation, but it's not fornication. Where was the man? Right? I'm talking about righteous judgment. I'm talking about the recap of me hearing what these men and their platforms had to say today with their forked tongues. While they said, I'm not, you know, defending Nature Boy, but where was the man who fornicated with that one? Why wasn't he dragged in to be stoned in that story? Cherry picking, I say. Study to show yourself approved. Become a righteous judgment, okay? Because these men have forked tongues in the truth community. Another thing I heard on a couple of platforms. Now, I didn't just listen to one. I listened to a couple of them. Distraction. We hear about distractions right here when we talk about why are they talking about something other than the state of the economy where people are can't even feed themselves. They want to talk about feeding people in Ukraine and distractions. We talk about that on all social media platforms. Here today, I saw another distraction. Mm-hmm. While we should have been understanding and taking in what just happened, this judgment of life for Nature Boy, there was another distraction that was thrown in right in the midst of this conversation. What about Diddy? What about P. Diddy? Cassie was, she was done dirty. Cassie, P. Diddy just had men sleeping with Cassie, and P. Diddy still walking the streets. What about P. Diddy? Why P. Diddy didn't get life? But they want women to shut up, right? They want women to be quiet, right? Because I could have told them why P. Diddy didn't get life when Cassie filed her lawsuit. But they probably wouldn't want me to speak because I am a woman. But I have my own platform, so I shall address that. P. Diddy didn't get life because there, first of all, wasn't a trial. There was a settlement. Second of all, P. Diddy didn't get life because the suit was for an employment lawsuit. Cassie sued as an employee of Diddy. Yeah. See, she missed the opportunity from the statute of limitations to file a criminal lawsuit. So therefore, she could not file the lawsuit for a criminal trial. There you go. You could have just did a little research and found that out yourself. Cassie's lawsuit was based on an employee's lawsuit. The reason why Diddy started to lose backing from his own company that he created, from multiple other companies that he was sitting on the board, is because Cassie came at him as an employee, and that would have been a liability for other companies. And they did not want that kind of publicity. And that's why Diddy lost some of his sponsorships and was asked to step down from his own company that he established. Cassie's lawsuit was not a criminal lawsuit. Cassie did not have enough of time in the statute of limitations to file a criminal lawsuit. But Cassie was still smart. Cassie still wanted justice. Cassie filed a lawsuit based on employment. Y'all remember when I was trying to file my lawsuit for harassment? for workplace mobbing. Mhm. Cassie filed a lawsuit for employment. That is how she got the settlement so quickly. It wasn't about the Illuminati backing Diddy and money talks and BS walks. No. Cassie filed a employment lawsuit. The reason why that turned around so fast is because the companies that were backing Diddy and his own company didn't want no parts of the matter. And they settled quickly the next day, I believe. Okay, let me take a drink real quick. Um, and we're gonna continue with this recap. Okay. So that is why Cassie and Diddy's case has nothing to do with this case. One case is a criminal lawsuit case, Nature Boy, and Cassie and Diddy's case was an employment lawsuit. Okay? All right. I hope you guys understand that. It's coming from a woman. Um, so I talked about Diddy, what went down, why there's two different cases, two distractions. That was a distraction. Diddy case was an employment lawsuit case. Cassie and Diddy case was employment lawsuit, no criminal case. Distraction. Stick to what was going down today. Nature Boy, a criminal lawsuit case. Okay, two different cases, not one and the same. Distractions. If the men want women to follow, be righteous judges. If the men of the truth want women to follow and want all these multiple wives, but you cannot even be a righteous judge, how do you expect to have multiple wives? And you're not even righteously judging just something you see on the internet that really doesn't have anything to do with you. You can't. You're not a righteous judge. You know, you would have been probably part of the men who were dragging this poor woman, the accuser of the sister. This is a fornicator. What do you say, Yahweh Shai? Well, he would no sin cast the first stone. They all walked away. Where was the man that fornicated with her? He wasn't even being drugged. The Bible is cherry picked. The messages are cherry picked. Study for yourself. Run, daughters of Zion. I'm going to set up this last message for you guys. While they keep trying to drain my battery over here. Hold on. You know that they some haters. They so hate that I'm bringing out a message that they have to do all these noise campaign, tap in and try to drain my batteries of my devices. And I'm now convinced that it's not just a government psyop. I believe there's some black men involved too, who are mad because a sister's speaking the truth. We're going to listen. This is the last judgment. Maybe this will help men that will actually want to listen. Yeah, it doesn't hurt you to listen and learn some things from a woman, because a lot of men on these platforms are not righteous judges. They don't deserve multiple wives. simply because they can't even judge righteously from if they had one. So having two and three, they just will most likely turn out to be another nature boy. Okay? If you have never heard of the story of Susanna, we're going to listen to that story today. And I'm going to close out with the story of Susanna, a beautiful woman, beautiful, a fair woman of Israel. This woman who bathed in the pond, thinking that she was bathing by herself, not knowing that a palace, a place overlooked her bathing area. You know, almost like David. It's a lot of peeping toms in Israel. You know how David watched Bathsheba bathe, that tempted him? Well, somewhat like that. Susanna was a beautiful, fair woman of Israel who was bathing, minding her own business, who was married to a righteous man. Susanna bathed, went home, came, just like we bathe, but our bathrooms are inside. But that doesn't stop these peeping toms, does it? They put cameras in our homes now to watch us with every move we make. Proclaimed to be Israel, right? Truth tellers, righteous judgment. This last story is about Susanna, this beautiful, fair woman who bathed thinking that she had all privacy, not knowing she was being watched by one Israelite man. I'm going to let y'all listen to the story. Not knowing that she had been spied upon. But not only one Israelite man had noticed the beauty of Susanna, and also noticed that he had a vantage point to see her bathing from the bushes. And upon Susanna finishing up her bath and leaving in town, she was accosted by the man that had been spying on her. Just like these perps. But these are Israel men, judges, matter of fact. You see, and so when the man accosted Susanna and approached her and begged her to sleep with him, that he wouldn't tell nobody, should know, just sleep with him. Susanna is like, no. But guess what? Another man accosted Susanna. They both. And so Susanna said, I'll scream, I'll shout out, let me go. Righteous men. These are real judges. This story comes out of the Apocrypha, the book of Susanna. I know Israelite men love to hound and beat their chest about shut up, woman, and never teach you, daughters of Zion, stories about women and how women have been treated and the judgment passed down by righteous judges. So Susanna would not sleep with the men. So the men plotted on Susanna. If you don't sleep with us, we will say that you are basically a harlot. And they stuck to their guns on that. Lies. And took Susanna before the courts. And I shall let you listen to the story of Susanna, daughters of Zion. If you hear messages that go against what we are waking up to, I plead with you to run. Do not be a part of these panels, these groups who tell you to shut up and listen, who do not have righteous judgment. For you might be led into a cult. You might find yourself in a nature boy cult. Listen to this story.
whose name was Susanna. The book of Susanna.
Get it together.
There dwelt a man in Babylon called Joachim, and he took a wife whose name was Susanna, the daughter of Chelcias, a very fair woman, and one that feared the Lord. Her parents also were righteous, and taught their daughter according to the law of Moses. Now Joachim was a great rich man, and had a fair garden joining unto his house, and to him resorted the Jews, because he was more honorable than all others. The same year were appointed 2 of the ancients of the people to be judges, such as the Lord spake of, that wickedness came from Babylon, from ancient judges, who seemed to govern the people. These kept much at Joachim's house, and all that had any suits in law came unto them. Now, when the people departed away at noon, Susanna went into her husband's garden to walk.
Wait a minute.
And the 2 elders saw her.
She went to whose garden? Because we are talking about righteous judgment here. Something that these Israelite brothers are not doing on their platforms, or even in analyzing something that's happening in the world today. And I'm here to wake up the daughters of Zion. When you hear men tell you to shut up, that you have no voice, run. Leave those platforms. These are not righteous judges. Even if 2 Israelite men come against you, as a daughter of Zion, falsely accusing you, falsely saying you disrespected one of the men of Zion, just because they are a man of Zion does not mean you are not valued. This is the story of the judgment of Susanna.
Going in every day and walking, so that their lust was inflamed toward her. And they perverted their own mind, and turned away their eyes, that they might not look unto heaven, nor remember just judgments. And albeit they both were wounded with her love, yet durst not one show another his grief. For they were ashamed to declare their lust, that they desired to have to do with her. Yet they watched diligently from day to day to see her. And the one said to the other, Let us now go home, for it is dinner time. So when they were gone out, they parted the one from the other, and turning back again, they came to the same place. And after that they had asked one another the cause, they acknowledged their lust. Then appointed they a time, both together, when they might find her alone. And it fell out, as they watched a fit time, she went in as before with 2 maids only. And she was desirous to wash herself in the garden, for it was hot. And there was nobody there, save the 2 elders, that had hid themselves and watched her. Then she said to her maids, Bring me oil and washing balls, and shut the garden doors, that I may wash me. And they did as she bade them, and shut the garden doors, and went out themselves at privy doors to fetch the things that she had commanded them. But they saw not the elders, because they were hid. Now when the maids were gone forth, the 2 elders rose up and ran unto her, saying, Behold, the garden doors are shut, that no man can see us, and we are in love with thee. Therefore consent unto us, and lie with us. If thou wilt not, we will bear witness against thee, that a young man was with thee, and therefore thou didst send away thy maids from thee. Then Susanna sighed and said, I am straitened on every side. For if I do this thing, it is death unto me. And if I do it not, I cannot escape your hands. It is better for me to fall into your hands and not do it, than to sin in the sight of the Lord. With that, Susanna cried with a loud voice, and the 2 elders cried out against her. Then ran the one and opened the garden door. So, when the servants of the house heard the cry in the garden, they rushed in at the privy door to see what was done unto her. But when the elders had declared their matter, the servants were greatly ashamed. For there was never such a report made of Susanna. And it came to pass the next day, when the elders were assembled to her husband Joachim, the 2 elders came also full of mischievous imagination against Susanna, to put her to death, and said before the people, Send for Susanna, the daughter of Chelcias, Joachim's wife. And so they sent. So she came with her father and mother, her children, and all her kindred. Now Susanna was a very delicate woman, and beauteous to behold. And these wicked men commanded to uncover her face, for she was covered, that they might be filled with her beauty. Therefore her friends and all that saw her wept. Then the two elders stood up in the midst of the people, and laid their hands upon her head. And she, weeping, looked up toward heaven, for her heart trusted in the Lord. And the elders said, As we walked in the garden alone, this woman came in with two maids, and shut the garden doors, and sent the maids away. Then a young man who was hid came unto her, and lay with her. Then we that stood in the corner of the garden, seeing this wickedness, ran unto them. And when we saw them together, the man we could not hold, for he was stronger than we, and opened the door, and leaped out. But having taken this woman, we asked who the young man was, but she would not tell us. These things do we testify. Then the assembly believed them, as those that were the elders and judges of the people.
Judges of the people.
So they condemned her to death. Then Susanna cried with a loud voice and said, O everlasting God, that knowest the secrets, and knowest all things before they be, thou knowest that they have borne false witness against me. And behold, I must die, whereas I never did such things as these men have maliciously invented against me. And the Lord heard her voice. Therefore, when she was led to be put to death, the Lord raised
The Lord
up
can hear Susanna's voice, but these men of Israel on this earth say, shut up.
who cried with a loud voice, I am clear from the blood of this woman. Then all the people turned them toward him and said, What mean these words that thou hast spoken? So he, standing in the midst of them, said, Are ye such fools, ye sons of Israel, that without examination or knowledge of the truth ye have condemned a daughter of Israel? Return again to the place of judgment, for they have borne false witness against her. Wherefore all the people turned again in haste, and the elders said unto him, Come, sit down among us, and show it us, seeing God hath given thee the honor of an elder. Then said Daniel unto them, Put these two aside, one far from another, and I will examine them. So when they were put asunder one from another, he called one of them and said unto him, O thou that art waxen old in wickedness, now thy sins which thou hast committed aforetime are come to light. For thou hast pronounced false judgment, and hast condemned the innocent, and hast let the guilty go free. Albeit the Lord saith, The innocent and righteous shalt thou not slay.
That's right.
Now then, if thou hast seen her, tell me, under what tree sawest thou them company together? Who answered, Under a mastic tree. And Daniel said, Very well, thou hast lied against thine own head. For even now the angel of God hath received the sentence of God to cut thee in two. So he put him aside, and commanded to bring the other, and said unto him, O thou seed of Canaan, and not of Judah, beauty hath deceived thee, and lust hath perverted thine heart. Thus have ye dealt with the daughters of Israel, and they for fear companied with you. But the daughter of Judah would not abide your wickedness. Now therefore tell me, under what tree
The daughters
didst thou
of
take
Judah,
company
recognize.
together? Who answered, Under a home tree. Then said Daniel unto him, Well, thou hast also lied against thine own head. For the angel of God waiteth with the sword to cut thee in two, that he may destroy you. With that, all the assembly cried out with a loud voice, and praised God,
Praise
who
him.
saveth them that trust in him. And they rose against the two elders, for Daniel had convicted them of false witness
False
by their own
witness.
mouth. And according to the law of Moses, they did unto them in such sort as they maliciously intended to do to their neighbor, and they put them
That's
to
right.
death.
They put them to death. Righteously, they were judged. They were about to slay an innocent woman, a woman of beauty and grace, a married woman of beauty and grace. But her voice was not heard because these were elder men, men of knowledge. Two men plotting against one woman. But Daniel, a man of righteousness, said, wait a minute, go back to the courtroom. Let's hear this matter in its entirety. Separate those two men. Why do you think police separate criminals today? Put that criminal in this room and that criminal in that room. Let's hear their story. Righteous judgment. And it is not happening here on these platforms with Israelite men. I have seen them put away a woman simply for saying what was on her mind. If the Lord, Yah, can hear the voice of Susanna cry out for righteous judgment, and the men of Yah who are on this planet, in this realm, proclaim to be the leaders, cannot hear the righteous judgment of a woman who simply made a statement and put her asunder? Well, you tell me, was that righteous judgment? Or was that the judgment of the two elders here in the story of Susanna, who for their reputation alone had Susanna convicted? Righteous judgment is what we're looking for. Daughters of Zion, run when you see and you hear men without righteous judgment. You are the daughters of Zion. Judah, I speak to you directly. Your chocolate skin, your caramel skin is beautiful. And if they want to put you away for a nation that has come under the curses, that is fine. Know that you are Judah. You are the righteous ones. You are the daughters of Zion. I'm out, and much, much love.